Thank you for tuning in to the Afternoon Pint. This episode is sponsored by Camilla Najat of Exit Realty, Strategy Up Business Consultants, and ISS Atlantic Security Guard Services. Enjoy the show. Cheers.
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 Everybody. Gotta get you. I missed you.
Perfect. There you go. Welcome to the Afternoon Pint. I'm Mike Dobin.
I am Matt Conrad.
And who do we have with us today?
I am Mike Ryan, member of the musical group The Town Heroes, co-host of the podcast Make It with Mike and Kristen. And yeah, lifelong creative person.
And I am Kristen Herrington, outnumbered by the M names, but happy to be here. The other half of Mike and Kristen, and owner of Togetherland Art Gallery, and lots of past lives behind me.
Well, guys, it's a pleasure to meet you both.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been a fan of your podcast and, I mean, of the Town Heroes, obviously.
Thank you.
And when I knew you were coming on, I got to do a little bit of research, right? So I learned about Togetherland, which was, you know, really, I love the name and I love the idea about that. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But I guess the big news that you guys got going on right now is this podcast. So you did 159 episodes. Then all of a sudden you said, "Hey, I'm gonna stop for a minute. We're gonna like kind of recalibrate, change the name, change the direction a little bit." So maybe the people that might not have heard of the Mike and Kristen show that ran for 159 episodes, tell us a little bit about that show, guys, and about this new venture that you're on.
Yeah, it's funny when we decided to take the, I'm doing air quotes, break. Everyone just assumes like we're stepping away from it, but we actually had to work like twice as hard, put in twice the time behind the scenes to actually bring this rebrand to life. And Mike and Kristen was just, well, both of us. I'm Mike, that's Kristen, and we interviewed creative people, interesting people, just kind of people from Nova Scotia. All our interviews were done in person. And one thing we learned from doing all those episodes and chatting with other people on podcasts, going to conferences, is that it's good to have a really specific niche. Like everyone just says, niche down. And we were covering a pretty wide area of topics. Mm-hmm. Like creativity was always a big one. But
it was kind of like where that was your home, right, with Mike and Kristen. It always did kind of seem to go inward into arts and stuff. I mean, are creative people and spirits.
It definitely did. But there was also, we'd have, I don't know, just people who we thought were interesting.
Yeah.
And that's, we love that. But just from all this stuff we're learning, we realize we have to just be more specific in what we're trying to put out there. Well, even just our elevator pitch. Like when we would run into people at conferences, they're like, "What's your podcast?" I'm like, Mike and Kristen. Well, we interview people from Nova Scotia, and we just like it was never streamlined. So the whole, I guess, point of the rebrand was to streamline that and have it more narrowed down. Really focus on creativity, the artistic side of things, and well, the name Make It. It's about actually creating things, making things.
Well, like making it yourself.
And making what is success to someone. Because that comes up with every person. Like we could ask you guys, what's success with your podcast? What would it mean to make it for you? So for us, we thought we almost went in about 8 different directions. Like we had a different name, a different idea. We just about pulled the trigger multiple times.
Cool. Like Kristen, so like you guys went, and then you guys went down to SXS, South by Southwest, SXSW, right?
Yes,
and like so. How did your podcast get down in there? What's the story behind that? Because I thought it was super interesting. I always thought of that as like where all the best rock bands go and stuff like that. So a podcast down there is pretty cool.
It is that as well. Yeah. And South by Southwest was founded on the music industry, essentially, and has since expanded into all kinds of creative industries, podcast being one of them, because as you know, it's one of the top media platforms, and like listenership throughout North America in particular has skyrocketed over the last few years. So South by Southwest actually introduced what they call a podcast stream, which meant they brought in a number of speakers that specialized in that area. So we applied for funding and were successful to help support the show go down to Austin in 2024 and 25. And we took in information from all of the experts. So they would cover things like data and statistics that we could then come back and use to our advantage.
Were you guys doing that already, like data statistics stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you monitor how the show is going, but I also try not to get too caught up in that.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really big numbers people.
Yeah.
So you just make it, quote unquote, and just kind of put it out there and
we
see.
make it what we want to do, really. Yeah. But to like Mike was describing, we consistently heard two things. One was niching down, and the other was the importance of the video component,
right?
Which we weren't doing with the Mike and Kristen
show. Are you doing video now?
So we have since, adopted the video component. We're on YouTube now, and people love that. For whatever reason, they like to see our faces. So,
exact same thing. Yeah. It's like my bane. I really don't want to do it, and I feel like we're going to get forced into doing that at some point.
Same. Yeah, I want to like stay away from video just because for me, just how I kind of envision this is like, well, first of all, I listen to podcasts when I'm driving.
Yeah, I'll never watch your podcast, but I will listen to it.
Right, and we were that way too, which is part of the resistance. Is this isn't how we consume podcasts. But apparently YouTube is king now, more so than every other listening stream.
Yeah. Mm. No, you're right. And my other thing is like how I envision us is like you're listening to us. It's like you don't necessarily need to see us. You sit down, maybe pour yourself a drink or a tea, and just listen. It's almost like you're listening to the conversation at the table next to you. And that's how I really wanted this to be consumed.
In the wall,
yeah. So it's like going in as soon as that camera's going to be on me, I'm going to be like, oh man, I'm twitching weird or something along those lines, right? Yeah, I don't know, right?
No, I get that. We extensively had that discussion because I think everyone, even if they're getting their photograph taken, kind of turns into this statue version of themselves.
Your posture a little different.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm relaxed and I'm slouching, and I just, it's such a more relaxed vibe on audio for me.
I know.
But we'll see how it goes.
Well, even in the first few episodes, like we're learning as we're going. And neither of us are big video people, but you figure it out as you're going. But an episode I was editing today, I'm looking back and I'm like, I'm pouring sweat in it. and I'm releasing this to the world tomorrow.
Exactly.
There's nothing I can do about it.
There's one with a mic stand basically through the guest's face for the entire episode. But you get used to it.
So we decided we had our first interview back.
Yeah.
And we decided we weren't doing video actually because we were in a very small space. There's hardly any room. And like right before they came, like, do you want to just try it? And like, are you allowed to curse on here?
Yeah.
Yes. So do we want?
I said, fuck it, let's go for it. And so we just used our phones. We set up our current phones and an old phone we kept around at different angles, trying to figure out what looked good. Threw on some retro 60s filters after the fact. And like,
what software did you use?
Final Cut Pro.
Okay, cool.
I do editing for like social media stuff.
Okay.
And
I wanted to explore Riverside because I heard that was really good for podcasting. But I haven't yet. I downloaded it and I'm afraid to start using it.
I think it's supposed to be awesome.
Yeah.
If you don't have the other programs yourself.
I tried it, and I took one of our podcasts, and I plugged it in, and this is one we did on video because it was on Zoom. Yeah. And I said, whenever you hear like an or an or a blip or whatever, just edit that out and use their AI. Christ, I mean, because we're Maritimers, it took about, almost the entire conversation.
Half the episode was our episode, 40 minutes.
I was like, wow, how'd that get 15 minutes long, right? I thought we talked about a lot more stuff. Yeah, but no, it's interesting, yeah. So
and you were talking about, so this is the funny thing is you guys are talking about the two things that you learned from taking away from going to these trips, which we'll talk more about as well, but just for anyone listening and everything, because you're talking about video, and then you're talking about niching down.
Yeah.
Also another thing we don't do.
Yeah.
So we're doing everything.
We're like behind you guys doing all the things that, you just corrected.
You've got your niche already.
Yeah. Our niche is the pub, being in the pub.
Exactly.
And we got to plug where we're at because we always forget to do that.
Yes.
We're at one of my favorite breweries, like generally favorite breweries. So North, Matt, I wanted to do a rant because I thought my alternate reality was gone. It's the number 6 beer on the board. Matt's drinking it now.
I'm drinking it because it's one of my favorite beers.
It's our favorite beers. And what's weird about it is Matt's like a really, I would say, upper scale beer enthusiast, and I'm just like, it tastes good. Like, I'm just kind of like, but this is the beer that we agree on is the best beer.
Okay.
Right? The
I gotta
multimate
try
reality.
that next.
That is
it's
an
a killer.
excellent plug.
Yeah.
This place actually, so every year we do a podcast party, and
Oh,
all
yeah?
of the guests from that, I'll say season, but like
Yeah.
that year of interviews, we invite to a party. And our
awesome.
first year, we had it catered, and North was our, I guess, like sponsor.
Well, we had
of
a
sorts.
buddy, Chris, who worked at the Dartmouth one. He's like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah?
we can give you a deal.
Yeah,
so
hooked us
we
up.
just bought, like, I don't know, $500 worth of booze from here.
That is nice.
Everyone got very drunk at the party.
And the Dartmouth one got the Yes
my
pizza
kind
in
of
it now,
party.
too, which is dope. They make wicked pizza.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
You can just live there.
Oh, yeah.
Get a mattress on the floor.
What else do I need?
Beer and pizza.
Beer, pizza, and a microphone.
Life is good.
That's it. So I guess kind of rolling along to the niche down. So yeah. If anyone doesn't know that, I mean, talk a little bit what you learned about niching down.
Yeah, well, we're two very creative people. I've been a musician for 20-ish years by this point. We wrote a book together, having the podcast, Kristen with her gallery, all the different types of art she does, with paintings, sculptures, and furniture. Like, all we talk about is just creative stuff. So when we were at this point where we had to figure out what our podcast was going to be, and niching down is essentially just finding a very specific topic.
You guys are close, though, I think, like to that arts world. I mean,
Yeah.
you really were shining a mirror.
Yeah,
at
our
it, so.
even just our name, though, like your name, the Afternoon Pint, like you get a general idea. Are they having a drink in the afternoon? Like, it
Yeah.
seems like it's fairly clear. Like, it's, you know, what the hell is Mike
Not
and
about
Kristen?
mountain climbing.
Day drinking.
Yeah.
Is it Michael Jordan and Kristen Stewart from Twilight together talking about basketball
yeah, Mike and Kristen, yeah,
movies? You know?
yeah.
Like, what does Mike and Kristen mean?
Yeah.
So we wanted something that's, I don't know, represented what we were
Okay.
actually doing in the name. That's just one aspect that we wanted to. And our art for our podcast was originally this awesome picture we love, but it's just us, I don't know, dressed up. We have a cake in front of us. I got a bottle of whiskey in my hand. It just doesn't reflect anything to do with what our podcast was.
But it's fun, though.
Oh,
I love the
It's
way
a
they
great
look.
picture.
Yeah, like yeah.
But
But I get it, though. Yeah, it's kind of like
all these little things have to add up to,
Yeah.
like, if someone quickly
Such a
looks
good-
at your picture,
yeah, it's good advice, yeah.
here's your name, or whatever, reads your bio, they can know in 10 seconds if they want to listen to it.
people kind of know what they're getting now
Yeah.
with the Make It name,
Are you
right?
going to change like at all like your guests that you reach out? Because I mean, is it just like a rebrand and still doing the same thing, or is it like a rebrand and you're like, you know what, we might have to cut some of the people that we would normally have in the past and cut that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this question because it was one of the things that we grappled with is, does this mean we have to exclude some guests that we would really love to have on? Some of our favorite guests that we had on, Mike and Kristen, had nothing to do with the arts world.
Yeah.
With the caveat of saying I think everybody's creative, but their life was not in the arts and entertainment world. So we thought, well, I don't want to let that go.
Yeah.
But it made sense. I think this was the topic that not only were we most equipped to talk about, but our network lent itself best to that. And we were kind of organically all along asking people about this concept of making it or success anyways.
Yeah.
And it was actually a former guest that pointed this out to us who had hired us for a live gig. And he had sort of a concept or an angle that he thought maybe we would take. And he's like, well, you guys usually ask your guests about what it's like to make it out there in the world. I'm like, yeah, we do that. Yeah. So it kind of, it was actually really helpful to have a listener or a guest point out to us something that maybe you get lost when you're too close to a project.
Right.
But I've always liked, all along, we've kind of done things scrappy and DIY, including now the video. But that's also something we advocate for others to try. I think a lot of people hold themselves back from this type of work because it's imperfect or they fear it could be.
Right.
So we're like, let's just kind of walk the walk here.
That was a big fear. Like, I don't know, we both have a little bit of perfectionism in us, and we were worried if we try to do the video, like, it's not going to be perfect, and we don't really know what we're doing. But it was kind of like a big step for us to just do it, to go ahead. Let's learn on the fly. Let's figure out all these little details, and it's not going to be the best looking thing right away. Maybe it never will be. Probably won't. But it's gonna be a new element, new component, and essentially just a different way to promote it, different marketing tool.
And what I'm learning about, and this is nerd talk here again, but SEO, search engine optimization. That's what a cool thing that is, huh? But like if you think about like the way like YouTube works and it backlinks to something else, like the Mike and Kristen website or something else about you guys, it all starts to kind of feed into like your own little universe, right? Yeah. And all those links are quite important, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't even have a proper website until Sunday. Yeah. Like, we've been pretty scrappy too. We're like, well, we should probably get a website.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we needed to like a website for sure. I mean, we had our website-ish where you could go and listen to our episodes, but now we have an actual proper website.
Site, yeah.
But I mean, we were kind of forced into that because we got involved into other things, so we're managing kind of an influencer, like social media marketing and stuff like that.
Kind of like your site, because I was on it, and you guys showed all your services and stuff that you guys can do, which I thought was really unique. And like, there's a lot more to you guys than I podcast, right? Like, there's a lot more of what you guys do out there and the things that you serve. And now they can kind of really see all the stuff that they can experience with you guys, which is pretty chill.
Yeah,
right? So
that was actually the original motivation for Mike and Kristen podcast, was to give a little clarity to all of these things that we were doing. And we laugh about it now because that meant adding one more thing that we do to bring clarity. But the idea was we go on and talk about the book that we wrote or upcoming shows, and it just evolved into the guest interview that we loved and learned from. And what's your origin story, can I ask? Like, what inspired you to want to start this show?
We've been buddies for 20 years. I love radio. Matt loves radio. And that was like, we were really good friends anyways. We were already talking on like almost every day or every second day, right? So it was like the synergies were just there, and I bought this gear. Jesus, we didn't do nothing with it for a year. Yeah. It sat in the house.
We were testing things out in my, I have a pub in my basement, and he brought it over there like once a week. We sat, we were talking about news, we were joking around about stuff, whatever.
We wanted to do a politics show, a fight show. We had everything going except for being nice and bringing people together. We're like, well, wait a second, why don't we just try to be nice?
So we just kind of came up with this idea of like, again, it was like Mike kind of researched early on, like, hey, they really say you should do niche, right? Stick to a niche. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I like politics, and like, we were talking about like subcultures and things like that within the province, and kind of learn through all these different groups of people through their food and through their drink and through their business, whatever. And then we also liked entrepreneurs and things like that too. Yeah. Problem with that is it's just kind of like we want to do all this. We can't do 5 podcasts, and then we're just like, you know what? Let's just sit down and have a drink with people, break the proverbial liquid bread. Right? Yes.
And that kind of has allowed you to have anybody on the show you want. Like, this is your anchor, is this setting, which is really cool.
We forced ourselves to start. A close friend of ours was our first guest, right? And he was just opening a coffee shop up in a pandemic, and that was a great title for our first episode. Coffee shop, start up in a pandemic. Yeah. And he's, great guy, loved his dad, and, he just had a beautiful story to tell, right? And I think that was the first one, and I
wondered if either of you worked in politics, because I know you've had a lot of politicians on your show.
Yeah.
Well, sort of.
So Matt's been more in the political realm. Me, zero, right? I'm more in the music-y realm, I'd say, probably arts and crafts community here.
But, I ran unsuccessfully 5 years ago. And I have been...
What level of government?
City. Yeah. I lost by 2%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So almost won, but did not win. And then I've been involved in politics quite a bit. I've been the co-campaign manager on 3 elections. I've been the riding president 2 different times of riding. So pretty involved in politics. I was 14 years old and said I want to be a politician. Yeah. That dream is now dead, but... Yeah.
I don't think it's dead.
Politicians
really
can start at any age, though. Right?
They can.
That's true.
Yeah.
I feel like our paths may have crossed in that world, because I was involved in politics for 10 years before I became a full-time artist. So that was my whole professional, like, I have a poli-sci degree, worked in the caucus office and a bunch of different departments, and And I was like, that name's familiar. So maybe we've met on the campaign trail.
There is a strong probability that, because I have no real party affiliate.
Yeah.
I stand behind just good people.
Yeah.
So I've voted all three colors over the last decade. I have helped literally, I helped a progressive conservative in the last provincial election, and I helped a federal liberal in the last federal election. And people were like, dude, make up your mind. And I'm like, but as a poli-sci person, you'll see like the spectrums of things that I'm not loyal to a color. I like certain policies, and I just happen to think that our provincial government and our current federal government are more aligned policy-wise than ideologies.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think the more apolitical outlook is what maybe we're lacking.
I agree.
Well, you know, I mirrored Matt's sentiment on what he just said about the federal and provincial, right? Which is odd, right? But yeah, it totally. You should totally go for what's going to do the best. You feel is going to do the best for you, your province, where not just you're at, but your neighbors at, right? Stuff like that. We got to collectively. Sometimes not always just pick a team, right?
Sure.
And stay there. You know.
Well, good for you. That takes a lot of courage to put your name in the ring.
This episode is brought to you by Camilla Najat with Exit Realty Metro.
Camilla Najat is an experienced real estate agent who prides herself in finding the perfect home for her clients. Camilla can help you with a comparative market analysis to help determine the value of your home if you're planning on selling, or help you determine the going rate for the neighborhood you're moving into. She can also work with you at your pace.
You can reach Camilla by calling 902-880-8429 or email camilla@exitmetro.ca.
Also, you can find her on Facebook at Camilla Najat, Exit Realty Metro.
Yeah, it changed me forever. Listening to people, knocking on their doors, and hearing so many different people from so many different struggles. Honestly, I would encourage anyone to do it. Even if you don't want to run, volunteer for a campaign and knock on doors and hear people what they struggle with. You will never walk away the same person ever again.
That's right, yeah. I always say I'm also grateful to have a better understanding of the infrastructure that we live in. Like, this is how my taxes are actually used, or this is why a decision takes a really long time at the legislature, whatever the case might be. Just having that understanding has given me more patience and perspective as Nova Scotian.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
It's awesome.
So that's interesting. I'm sure this doesn't have to turn into a
we'll nerd out after. These guys can talk about gear.
You guys can keep talking about politicians by all means. It sounds fun. I love politicians. Some of them are great. Some of them are fun.
I do. I'm really interested actually. You guys have traveled to learn more about this industry. That's something Mike and I have really wanted to do. I mean, it's great that you guys could find some funding. That's something else you may be able to tell us about. But some of the big takeaways from this, talking to different people that are doing this must be inspiring. It must be you must just gather so much knowledge.
Yeah, there's so many parts of going to something in South by Southwest or another one, Podfest in Orlando, and a big part of it is just the inspiration coming home. Okay. Of course, there's numbers and data you're crunching and specific tips and things, but it's also just coming back with that fire underneath you. You're meeting people who get 1 million downloads a week, and they're making a huge living doing it.
Right. And a little cynicism here. Do you think that's possible in Canada or in Nova Scotia? Or do you think you have to be in the right market to get those types of hits?
I feel like the right type of podcast, it's possible.
Right.
But to get those numbers, you have to have something incredibly unique about you, whether it's your personality, your look, whatever the show is.
If it's video, otherwise it doesn't matter, right? That's why I stay in the shadows.
But it still matters, even I don't know, social media.
Yeah, that's true.
I hate to say it, but things matter.
Oh, yeah.
How you look in there, and I don't know, you see someone who just posts a picture of themselves, and they're a good-looking person, and they have thousands of likes and comments, and
Yes.
like that happens.
He's
Like,
telling us to hang it up. This is what he's doing. He's like, you guys
I'm
look like
also
dorks.
wondering where this is going.
I'm just saying, there's like mastery interviewers, and that's their thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Like there's people who have the coolest idea imaginable.
You geek out when you see a good interviewer. Like if you're into this stuff, like I mean, Sean Evans, the Hot Ones guy. I mean, that is great.
He's fantastic.
Every time I watch him ask a question, I'm like, holy shit! Like just such great question acting, laser focused.
He's got it dialed in.
He's dialed in, and he does a lot of research, and it's deep research. He's good,
And it's genuine. Yeah, it feels authentic. It doesn't feel like I got to talk to this person. He's happy to be there.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge bit.
But to your point, it's like you can be as good as he is, and obviously that's a great concept too, like a really great concept. But to your point, also you can also be a really crappy interviewer, and not really super great. And if you're incredibly good looking, you might still get millions of follows.
Yeah, or you have just the right people behind you pushing it, or you have some money to back it up. Like there's different reasoning. Like anyone who's not good is eventually going to be found out, and it's not going to go for a long time. But certain things can get you to a point where maybe other people have to rely on grit and hard work and just pushing through. But I think it's like anything, just from playing music so long, I just transfer all those, I guess, ideals and skill sets over. Like, okay, we just gotta stick to it. Like that's the longer you do it, the more people you come across.
Right.
Yeah. Word of mouth spreads.
I would imagine that it's pretty similar to like trying to like make it in the music industry, like podcasts. It's like, how can we get as many people to listen to us as possible? Yeah, because that's in the end game, really. Right?
Yeah. And
I was going to say there's that, but it's also a lot of things that we learn as far as coming back with this inspiration is tapping into your why and what kind of makes you feel happy in life. And so there's a little bit of, I don't want to say disregard, but we don't put as much priority on the downloads and the reach. And of course that matters maybe at some point from a business strategy or what do we want for this to actually do for us.
Right.
But the people that have come into our life through this kind of creative work is just immeasurable when it comes to dollars and cents. So we kind of keep that in mind too. So
well, Rick Rubin did said Rick Rubin world right. So he has a book out, right? The Art of Creative Act, or the Creative
we've
Act.
both read it like 7 times.
Dude, I listened to it like 3-4 times. I swear to God, I'm addicted to it. I keep listening to it because I only ever really bought one audio book on like iTunes. Yeah. So it's the only book I have like on that app. Like now I'm listening to audiobooks on Spotify because they're available too, right?
You get your 15 hours.
Yeah, you get your 15 hours in. So, and So anyways, that one book. What was that? What was the thing he said there? Sorry, it just escaped me.
Well, but, the thing is, everything Rick Rubin says sounds like the
mic drop.
So
Every
smart,
sentence.
so wild. But he's like, you don't make the art for them. You make the art for you, right? And I'm like, damn, that's sick, Rick Rubin. I love that. Like, I love the idea of you are making it for them, but you're really making it for you. So be honest with yourself, right? Like, you're doing it because there was something inside of you that wanted to create this so bad, right?
And you can't be, like, we can't compare ourselves to the biggest podcast out there. Like, it's going to break our hearts every day. If we think we're just going to release an episode and have the same downloads as whatever, Mel Robbins, Joe Rogan, any of those, like, it's just not what we should be going for.
We celebrate the small victories. It's like when we do a really good episode like this one here, we're like, oh, that was a good episode, man. Yeah, I like that one, right? When we're proud of it and we can stand by it, we're just like really happy.
If anything is number focused, I actually get like the thing that I get most disappointed is that like that guest was such a good guest, had such a great story, and I wish more people heard it.
Yeah.
That's really what I really the thing that kind of I'm like, oh man, like more people everyone should have heard that.
Yeah,
right?
we'll have some that do really well and some that we think are just going to do awesome and they don't do as well. And we're like, oh my God, that was the best episode we ever did. Yeah. Right? And in terms of...
The good thing about this podcast and our podcast is that these episodes are evergreen, right?
Yeah.
Someone can go back anytime and listen to it. Because I'll listen to The Daily, which is a news podcast, New York Times does, and you would never listen.
It's fresh for 3 days.
You would never go back and listen to one, or sports ones that are just about the game that happened last night. Like, no one's ever going to listen to those again. but these types of podcasts are going to exist forever. And
Yeah.
any point, we're good at every week we focus on this is the guest we have, so let's promote them. And then the next week, as it goes and keeps going like that.
Right.
But we were also talking like, hey, any week or any day we can say, hey, this episode we did with Matt Mays was awesome. Check it out. Like we're allowed to do that.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. We had a little bit of a battery outage with our super good technology here.
Little power outage. Yeah,
We're back.
get the candles out.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you were saying about going back into episodes.
Yes.
And I think there's also, as a result of us having this experience, you're going to be on our show one day, we hope, or we're going to run into each other at the grocery store and high five, or downtown and go for another pint. And this is kind of the joy that doing the show really brings.
We've met so many people that are now friends, and that's like,
We had a beer with a premier, like me. Boy. I mean, I think that's so cool, though, right? Just when you think about that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're going to...
2 premiers.
Yeah. Oh, 2 premiers. We got McNeil and the Houston. That's
Yeah.
a pretty cool thing. And I got to say dumb jokes, right? I mean, that's a real honor.
yeah, like you can look at, again, downloads and all that, but you can look at the experiences that whatever it is you're doing brings into your life.
Yeah.
And
100%.
same thing with playing music, like the places I've gone, the people I've met. Like I
Can
met
only
Kristen
imagine.
from playing music. Like she's my wife for 10 years now. So
Amazing.
And of course, if you're trying to make a living off it, you do have to consider the monetary side of things. And
Well, I was going to ask you about that later in the show, but I'll let me get that into you now. So you guys, I mean, both artists, doing great work on both sides. You perform at a high level, both of you do, music wise and talent wise, painting wise. Bills must be a nightmare though. Still, like it must still be tough, is it? Like,
yeah, it's not this day and age, 2025, with the price of everything going up. People wanting to just enjoy their downtime with Netflix more than going to a show or going to an art show. Like it's definitely a tougher time for creative people.
Yeah.
And we've managed to make things work.
and you're both award-winning artists in your own right. Like, that's which is crazy, right? But I mean, you feel like, accomplished. I get a little upset that the fact that, we can't have folks be artists in our community and survive as well as they deserve, right?
Yeah.
So. This episode is brought to you by Strategy Up. Strategy Up is a business consulting firm led by Mark Zerka, who has over 20 years' experience in building commercial strategies that will up your game, organize your teams, increase your productivity, and grow your business.
Whether you're a construction company looking to grow your revenue or a busy restaurant owner just trying to keep the doors open, Strategy Up can help. Strategy Up's boutique-style consultations will help you improve business process across nearly any industry.
Being a successful entrepreneur does not mean you have to be an expert in everything. Strategy Up specializes in building a relationship with you. Once pain points in the business are realized, Strategy Up will introduce process and technology that will power up your game to the next level.
A successful business requires investment. Your next step towards growth starts now. Email info@mystrategyup.com for a free business discovery call. Up your game with Strategy Up.
This is something, it's funny that this comes up because it's something I put thought into this morning, that if it did come up, how honest I would be about this.
Please.
Because if I'm being truthful, this is an area that I have struggled with the most, and certainly in 2025 with the word recession floating around, people are not spending luxury dollars on buying artwork. They're buying a bag of carrots.
Though. Sure, yeah. Art's better than food.
And I get that, because we're in the same boat. We also don't have a ton of disposable income to be spending on things that aren't directly connected to our survival.
So you yourself have to be selective in the art you consume, right? Whether it's one medium or the next, right? So it's
tough. Mike has more, I'll say, emotional experience with this because he's been a full-time musician for 20 years. I spent 10 years getting my 2-week paycheck at a high level. Right. So transitioning into being an entrepreneur was very much about lifestyle. I didn't want to do that commute and rush hour anymore and sit in my little beige office in my polyester pants. Like, I was over it. But it's kind of, I don't want to give the illusion of, I think from the outside, yes, we have had a lot of success. We've had a lot of fun. We've met a lot of people. But the finances have always been hard. And I don't know if I will ever find peace with that. So that's I don't want to
No,
it's a hard thing to admit, but that's the truth.
Because, I mean, that's what makes us all from just kind of doing that creative jump. So, I mean, Matt and I, this is our side hustle, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, our spouses are supportive now. But if I said, that's it, I'm just going to try to write rap music and do a podcast, Andrew will be like, no.
I do want to hear the rap song, though, nonetheless.
Yes, you do.
Well, yeah. But you know, that's the problem, right? Like, we, you know, our passion, sometimes it's just so hard to know what to do. We live one life. We want to live the best version of it, right? And man, it got to be like, that's my biggest fear, is like, to do this all on my own, would I just lose, right? Like, would I just not make it in any thing, and then just eventually have a worse job than I have now, right?
Yeah. And we're hosting a show called Make It.
Yeah.
And I'm over here like, oh, God.
Yeah. But, I mean, the other thing is, though, it's like levels of success, and we've talked about that a lot here already, like the things that make us feel good. I mean, you know, there's different things. Like, in my own mind, I'll never make it. Like, you know,
ever.
There's
no imagining.
He's super negative.
No, that's not negativity at all.
It's like, I'm a realist.
It's like, no,
that's what negative people say.
So the Town Heroes, like, perfect thing. You had the perfect pitch night at the best auditorium. You were honored. You played in front of you played. You know, your music got the attention it deserved 1,000%. There's a symphony playing behind you. If that was me, I'd be like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I did it yet. Like, I don't know if I would even be there at that level, right? Because it's just not my way I am. I'd probably...
You might need therapy.
Oh, I'm working on it.
Yes. Literally, we could have an awesome episode. Like, man, that was entertaining. We could talk to the guests with it. And he's like, I don't know, man. I think it was shit. Like,
I don't know. It takes my brain a long time to get to a place where I'm okay with a lot of things. Yeah.
Is this protecting yourself?
Only with art. With life, with family, with everything else, I'm totally cool. Like, I'm cool as a cucumber. I could sail any storm for work and stuff. Shit don't bother me at all. Zero. Art is sensitive. So sensitive, right? Yeah.
I appreciate that honesty as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know that everybody has a visual in mind of what achievement or success or quote making it actually looks like. And some people will say, I didn't know that this was going to be the moment that made me feel that way until I was in it. So you can't even imagine until you're living it.
That's a good way
Maybe
to look
that'll
at it.
be you.
Interesting thing about like athletes, because every athlete in the world has a prime where they're at their absolute best.
Right.
But no one would ever know that they're in it.
Yeah, like today was your last day, dude. Oh, it was great.
You think you're only going to get better, but there's going to be one particular day where every day after that you're worse than you
100%.
Ugh.
Yeah, I probably talk about this too much, but it's one of my favorite quotes of all time from The Office. Second last episode of The Office, and Andy says, I wish there was a way that you can know that you're in the good old days before you left them. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, that's all about just living in the moment, right? Like being grateful for the things that happen.
Yeah.
Just like we're sitting here. How lucky are we to be sitting here drinking a beer?
This is pretty awesome.
Like, think of, geez, there are wars all around the world.
Yeah, literally on the brink of World War III in certain places in this world.
I saw videos of that plane crash in India.
Dude.
You just, and like, in Halifax, there's homeless people everywhere. People who are working jobs can't afford a house. Like, how lucky are we to be here chatting, having this conversation? You got some cool gear. We got some craft beer.
Love
it. Living life. Like, we have to recognize
and that's the plus
moments.
side. And that's the plus side of what you guys do. So we went through the negative. So let's go through the positive again. And just to reiterate, if you're thinking about being an artist,
redeeming yourself now.
If you're still with us and you want to be an
artist,
I can see both sides of the glass or whatever works, you know. But yeah, you know, the positivity is you have one life to live. You might as well appreciate every moment and do the best you can to get through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that positive enough?
Sure.
You got it. You nailed it.
That's more realistic.
I think what you value, as Kristen stated earlier, what you value is really important, and knowing your why in you're doing something. Are you doing this to make money? Are you doing this to meet people? Are you doing this to just express yourself? Like knowing what it is you value, and then that is intertwined with what is your why, and then you can figure out, like, well, I'm doing this because I just enjoy hanging out with people.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry, oh, okay, then I probably have to have another job on the side to support it. If my biggest thing is I want to meet people, I'll make money somewhere else, and maybe this will turn into something profitable. But I think, everyone just knowing what it is that matters to them allows you to find the direction that you actually need to go in.
Brilliant advice.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Yeah,
that was you got through that. You sailed right through that. Oh, yeah. Amazing. Okay, so I got a little bit. Want to kind of talk about you. Kind of zero in a little bit. My notes here. Sorry. Okay, so I wanted to talk about Togetherland, because I think that sounds like a pretty remarkable place. So for people listening, what is Togetherland?
Togetherland is my art gallery in Ingramport, which is on your way to Hubbards on the St. Margaret's Bay Road. And a few years back, I had just put a post out on Facebook thinking I might have a business that would invite me to do like a pop-up over the summer. I wanted a place to sell my art that wasn't in my living room.
Okay.
Like, let's just kind of move out of the home here.
Yeah.
And didn't really know what that would look like, had no expectations, but put it out there. And this friend of ours, he's a radio host at Cove FM. His name's Steve Gilbert.
Oh, yeah.
Lives right next door to this old church with a church hall attached to it. And he wrote me and said, I don't really know if this is what you had in mind, but if you'd like, I can connect you with the church people.
Cool.
And see what you think. So that's what we did. And as soon as you step into this room, if any of you have been part of a church hall in your upbringing, it was exactly like you might think and remember and
like
smell and feel.
classic
and
church.
Everything about it was
Okay.
just like wave
Church
of
hall.
nostalgia. Church hall. You know, like where you had
With the sandwiches.
bean dinners and So it was that. And it was just this big empty room, and we immediately saw potential. So I thought, okay, this isn't what I had in mind, but it's right on the water and it's close to home and I can kind of do whatever I want with it. It was otherwise just being abandoned. And it was only so I signed the lease on this, and probably 3 or 4 days later were when the wildfires came through. And Mike and I were evacuated.
Oh my gosh.
And we decided, let's go live at the church, I guess, because it was close to home. Of course, we had lots of friends and family offer to put us up, which was very thoughtful, but we wanted that proximity, and we took our air mattress and we lived in this just kind of, dirty
awesome.
spider webs.
Whatever.
Like, it was not an art gallery at the time.
It's a start.
We were there for 9 days.
Yeah.
And, I think there's kind of the story there is like, it was our savior. Here we were in a church, and that was the birth of Togetherland. And so during this time that we were evacuated, we weren't allowed to go home. So I had a bunch of friends delivering things in hopes that I would still be able to open it as a gallery when I had planned. I opened on my birthday on June 9th that year. Wow. And we're now entering the 3rd season, and we've got live concerts and workshops and, of course, art
guys do
shows.
everything there.
And it's just kind of become a community hub.
So communities just coming in to learn how to paint or see a show.
Yeah.
That's
Mike
beautiful.
does open mic nights there on Wednesday nights that are,
Every
you
Wednesday.
never know who you're going to get, and it's just this really beautiful...
Anybody can pop down there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And is there an admission, or how does that all work?
Not for open mic.
Yeah.
Open mic's free. It's BYOB, so people can show up, bring a bottle of wine or whatever. Lots of parking.
I thought bread, because it was a church BYOB.
Yeah,
but
you
no,
can,
never
lots of
mind.
people bring a loaf of bread.
Bring your own body of Christ.
Oh, I hope
But
that
it's,
happens.
it's a very, very diverse
I'm sure you get
skill
everybody.
sets and a group of people, like people who never been on stage, people who've been playing for their whole life.
Oh, that's awesome.
And people use it for different reasons.
Well, that's traditional music in a sense. Like, I love those pub feelings where you see a bunch of artists or a bunch of different musicians from different places get together and just play. Right?
Yeah.
Just learn how to play, jam the whole night. So fun to watch.
It's really fun to see people have that moment of bravery as well. So for a lot of people that come to the open mic knowing that beginners are welcome, they very much are that. Like in some cases, they've never been in front of an audience before.
Yeah.
We had one woman who sat in her car in the parking lot the first night for 2 hours because she was afraid to even come in. And now she performs every week.
Oh, wow.
So like that is really moving.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
That's
cool.
Togetherland.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's a great thing that you can do for people, right?
It truly is
it's just
Togetherland. That's
community.
It's just such a cool thing. Yeah.
That's really important.
And so you guys do the live shows too. I don't know. I was like, look at live shows. So painting and singing in the same night, music and painting all together.
Yeah, we've done some of those.
We don't.
So
It's
how
not
does that
something
work?
like we promote like heavily or anything. It just we did a few. We were hired, I guess, by some people. Said, hey, can you play music? Can you do live painting? And it's always super cool. Like I'm just playing my sets like I would, and Kristen sets up a table and makes a painting. And a lot of times it's at a corporate thing.
Corporate money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
That's
cool,
the best money to take.
Yeah.
So you're just painting some like CEO?
Well, I'm painting in my style, but if they asked for that, I would be happy to.
For some reason, just picture some CEO standing there naked with just a tie.
We will be updating our website immediately.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll do this for a lot of money.
Yeah.
if they offer us enough, we'll do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Cool, but
We're
you-
just always looking to diversify. Like,
Yeah,
these
yeah.
are, if you want to pay us to do this, well, sure, we'll give it a whirl. And we've done some
And you've done
live
custom artwork.
podcasting too, and
Yeah.
custom things. Like,
Yeah, you did like paint houses. You'd help people in their houses and
Yeah.
cottages and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I saw
done
that. That was
some of
really
that.
cool. Yeah.
Getting into furniture, so I take old vintage pieces of furniture and upcycle them. So
Okay.
I'll make my own fabric and just kind of give them a new life. And yeah, we're always
cool.
kind of dabbling, I suppose.
My mother-in-law's a painter, and she's worked in a few art galleries and things like that in Quebec City. That's where she lives. So yeah, when she's actually going to be visiting here in 3 weeks, so we
Send her
will.
by.
Send her
She wants to
down.
go to Lunenburg again because she loves
On the way, yeah.
and that's what I was just thinking. Is
Yes,
I
please.
promise you, we will pop
And
down.
she's a
Yeah, I
great
love
artist
that.
in her own right.
She
She paints some amazing stuff.
She does some cool stuff.
Yeah.
There's one particular painting that I was like, I want that. Like, I was like, oh, that's so cool. When she put it up, I was like, that's so cool. Then she was like, she was downsizing, and she was like looking to give away some of her paintings. She reached out to her daughters and me and everything. So she was like, is there any paintings you guys want before I go to sell them? Like, she was like, I'm going to sell them at a discount rate just to kind of get rid of them so I can downsize and everything. She was like, is there anything you want? I was like, I want the Trudeau weed one. So it's a picture like when it first got legalized, she painted this picture of like Trudeau holding the big joint. And, like, I'll have to show it to you. But it's like, I was like, yeah, I want that.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
It's so cool because
Yeah.
it's
And
the end of
giraffe.
prohibition.
I think it was a giraffe one. Was there a giraffe one?
There is a draft one.
Yeah,
It's in
yeah.
my son's room.
I remember that. It's a cool.
Yeah,
cool
it's in my
painting.
son's
Yeah.
room.
I
That
love
one's
that
pretty
one.
cool. Like,
Yeah.
she does some things that are very that are abstract, but she also does some things that are like detailed. I don't know the word for it, but like are actually like look like the thing they're supposed to look like. But even within that, she's a little bit more abstract.
I love that.
Right? So yeah.
I'm curious how you would answer the question of what attracts you to artwork. Is it just a feeling or are you looking
100%.
for, okay.
feeling.
That's how you would make that
100%.
decision?
Like sometimes I'm very much like I like things to look like they're supposed to, kind of thing. Like I don't. The struggle I get, and as an artist, you can maybe educate me on this, but the thing is like when I look at something, and I'm like, my 3-year-old could paint that, and it's like that's $10,000, and I'm like, I don't understand that. That I struggle with, right?
Sure.
Because my 3-year-old, especially when his grandmother's in, like they'll do some painting. We have a couple really big paintings that she'd worked with him to do and everything, and I'm like, yeah, that looks like the same that I see in art galleries. So I'm kind of like, maybe we should just pop this up and
You should
put
be
it up.
selling a 3-year-old's art then.
I should be
the
slapping
moral
it there
of the story.
for
Yes.
10 grand
Yes,
and
you
see
should.
what happens, right? So that I don't get. But sometimes I do see something that's really abstract, and I'm like, oh, well, that looks really fucking cool though. Like really, there was one that I saw at an art gallery that she was there that I'm looking up at it and I was staring. She caught me staring at it, and she was like, "Do you know what that is?" I was like, "Yeah, it's a really zoomed in like painting of the red line on a hockey rink." And she was like, yeah, that's exactly what it was. Like, you could just see the circle of, like, the point and then the red line and everything. I was like, and she's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. She's like, not everyone knows that right off. I was like, well, it's like, I could see clearly, like, the white was kind of a bluey white, and like, that thing was selling for $18,000. And I was like, no way. I think I can do that. I don't get it. Please explain.
Wow.
Explain to me why
Just a light conversation over an afternoon pint here.
Why is some art don't art?
I can only speak for myself, I suppose, but how I would answer that question is that I think art that you might feel that way about is about the concept. So I'm going to give a couple of examples to explain what I mean. In that, I wish I could remember this artist's name because I've referenced this before on our show, how he was given, I think, $60,000. He was commissioned to do this piece for a gallery. And he showed up, and it was just his piece, his quote-unquote piece, was just an empty space. Like, he didn't even bring a canvas. There was nothing on it.
I saw an article on this.
Right. And his concept was, he called it, take the money and run.
Yes.
And so it was his idea, essentially, that he sold for $60,000. So he actually didn't even physically have something for you to buy.
Yep. But he gave you a certificate, right?
Maybe.
I believe
there was
I read,
something,
You got a certificate of authenticity that you owned this nothing.
Right. That you owned this nothing.
For $60,000.
And I don't know, for the right buyer, maybe they like being able to tell that story. Maybe they like the sort of philosophical way of looking at that. Like, that's how I might think about that. I know what you're saying, how there are paintings that look like a 3-year-old could do it. And I think that artist would probably say, well, do it then.
Probably,
and see if it turns out the same. But yeah, and there was another artist I remember us seeing in Seattle, and the painting was just blue. It was just a blue canvas, again, worth probably millions of dollars.
Yeah.
But I later learned this was a blue that he invented, that particular hue
that particular
of.
color. Okay.
So I
Jay-Z
don't know.
blue.
Jay-Z blue.
Jay-Z blue.
Blue
there
Ivy.
you go.
Jay-Z
right,
blue
right.
he patented it.
Blue Ivy,
Yeah.
No, and I get that. I mean, art is a lot of is concept. I mean, because there's like living art and all that stuff too, right? So I struggle with it. Mm-hmm. There's also the fact that there's a lot of money laundering, so you should try that.
Yes, I am doing. Church. You know,
exactly. Perfect.
Best place to do it, man. Best place to do it.
The money laundering thing. I was actually reading an article about this recently about how like billionaires like hide money through art. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Yeah. It's like they buy something for like $10 million and then they like basically hide it away, and then it goes up in price, kind of thing, and then they resell it. And it's like, I just washed a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Kind of
brilliant.
Yeah.
It is brilliant.
Thanks. That was Matt's mobster tips for tonight.
We did just talk about diversifying, so
just joking.
Clearly, I'm not doing it.
All right. So Mike, I want to talk a bit about you, award-winning songwriter, studio owner, right? Yeah. You know, you're truly a town favorite. You've won like the Coast so many times over for being one of the best bands in Halifax, right? You're top list.
Yeah.
I've been listening to your music. I'm now a genuine fan, which is cool. And
That's nice.
I fell into it very honestly. I was playing music in the kitchen one night, playing your latest album.
Yeah.
And the 13-year-old, she said your music was cool. Right, so that's
you
made it. You're basically cool Taylor Swift now.
Yeah,
super cool.
Yeah.
We're there.
No, she just started playing guitar too. So it's actually so she was actually hearing the music a little differently, I think, than before. And she's like, "No, that's pretty good," like she said, right? which is like the highest compliment you can get.
That means a lot.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. So, what was I going to ask? I mean, I guess for you, one of my things, particularly listening to your latest album, I do. Sorry, the name of your latest album was
Singin.
Yeah, Singin. Okay,
Singin,
yeah.
no
So
G.
that album in particular, I think, is kind of the easiest, most tap-worthy album you've made. Like, these songs are very accessible, very easy to listen to.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, getting on radio, getting more publicity so more people hear this music. Because I think that this is some really good stuff, some easily digestible music. I mean, what are there challenges on getting it on the radio stations here in Halifax, or?
Yeah, it's well, I'm competing against every other musician and artist that's ever put out a song, essentially.
Right.
So nowadays, every single day there's 120,000 songs released on Spotify.
Really? Whoa!
Every day.
120,000.
Like in the 70s, I think it was like around 12,000 a year.
Wow!
Like that's
Holy
and this
smokes.
is partially because people can record much more cheaply. People have home studios, and like there's obviously a huge difference between someone going to the studio spending thousands of dollars and someone just whatever setting up a mic and playing a song and releasing that. But it does give the opportunity for every single person in the world, if they want to release something, they can. And that's great in lots of ways. Like we have access to put out music, to show our videos to people, to create any type of content we want and put it out to the world. But so does everybody else. So and I don't look at it like, well, I'm in competition with them, but that is the reality of it.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a double-edged sword where we have the access to do that, but so does everybody else. So
Right.
Back to radio, like radio isn't that big a
It's
thing
not the end-all, be-all anymore. No.
Some people focus on it more than others. Some like younger people probably don't even know what radio is, to be honest. It's you have to pick what's relevant to you and try to go in that direction.
Yeah.
Because at one point in time, there was a very specific model of this is how you exist as an artist. Is you record your music, you go on tour for X amount of time.
Label, da-da-da-da-da.
You do all these specific steps, and now there's no real model that exists. So everybody's just trying to figure things out on the fly, and you can tell what the latest trends are in 2 seconds. Even in podcasting, like everyone puts their clips on YouTube with the captions. Like that's if you put a video up without captions, you're like crazy now.
Right.
Like, it just, I don't know, trends just come and go, and I try to not do the trends. Like, I don't want to follow what other people are doing, but sometimes it's inevitable that you're going to go down those paths. And you look at someone like Neil Young, he's someone who always went against the trends and had a lot of success. Yeah. Then you look at us other artists who would have followed exactly what the template is in the current moment and became massive through that. And I guess it all comes back to what is your why again. Like, what are you valuing? Why are you doing this as a career? Or is it a career? Is it a hobby? And what do you want to accomplish from this? And sure, I'd love to be on radios around the country and the world. Yeah. That would mean so many other things have grown to achieve success. Like anyone you hear, if someone's on the radio here, they're probably not playing the radio because no one listens to radio anymore. Or listen to a Spotify playlist. I'm sure. But if you're driving the car and you turn on your radio and you hear a song and that band isn't from the area you're in, like they are probably massively successful. Because if a band from Iowa is on the radio here, that means that they're probably on the radio everywhere.
Right.
And that they would have likely a lot of streams, likely a lot of
But it used
fans.
to be so much more with the CRTC, but like I found like the CRTC, you'd hear some Canadian artists, but you would hear kind of a, and this is just perception from the radio. I'm not a big radio listener either, being transparent here,
really
right?
not
like,
either.
But I spend a lot more time with Spotify.
Yep.
But like when you do plug on the radio, you're hearing Nickelback. You're hearing a lot of those traditional, tragically hip. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with any of them. I like most of these bands. But you're still hearing the same old same, and you're just like, what gives, right? Why am I not hearing newer artists that are in my hometown or in Toronto or anywhere across Canada as much as I'm hearing that great hit that was 20 years ago or 30 years past?
I wonder about that, and you can probably speak to it better than I could, because I wondered could radio really reinvent themselves by going more local as opposed to just playing the same thing I can hear on Spotify?
I think there are stations that are more local and they're having a tough time.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, there's so many other ways to consume.
Yeah.
Like, at one point, that was the only way you could hear something was whether if you owned the CD or vinyl or tape, or you turn the radio on, they happen to play it.
Yeah.
Now, we have access to that music all the time. Like, even talk radio, CBC has some really cool shows, but I can go find a podcast that's going to be very similar to that, exactly to what I want to hear, and connect my phone through Bluetooth as soon as I get in the car and listen to that on the drive.
Yeah.
So,
which is bittersweet because, I sought you out, obviously, because, I knew you were coming on the show. So I was these guys before. So I checked out your album. I really enjoyed it, right? And that's what sucks now, though, in a sense, because we do get siloed, right? And this is what you like, Mike. So when I'm introduced to new music on my Spotify playlist, even, it's just sending me more of what I've already kind of heard, or what they know is going to keep me listening. They're somewhat afraid to send me things that might be from left field or might be not from what I'm already listening to, right? So it's a weird thing for artists right now. I just don't know how it's going to keep going.
And earlier we talked about podcasting, like you have to have something going for you. You have to be an amazing interviewer. You have to look a certain way, whatever. It's probably more so in the music industry. If you're just an absolute exceptional talent, you're going to rise
no matter
to the top. If you have a label with a bunch of money backing you, like that's going to help you. Like
you're independent.
We are now,
nice.
We've been on different labels at different times. Our last 2 albums we released ourselves.
Cool.
But it's definitely connections help. And again, anyone you're hearing on the radio, someone's spending tens of thousands of dollars to get that music out there. Too, right?
Wow.
Like, if we want to get...
Still today, huh?
There's a person called a radio tracker. They promote your music to stations and get it played. And you can do that yourself, but I'm not going to have a connection with whatever 400 radio stations. I'll know
they want to play our song on the radio. Remember how hard I tried, Matt?
And I knew someone who worked at the radio, and I went to them. We wrote a funny little Christmas song.
Yeah,
and we sang it.
It was terrible.
Was this your rap debut?
No. This rap debut came like 15 years ago.
This was in our Christmas special.
This is for the podcast.
We were
sang a Christmas song.
Nice.
Yeah. Mike wrote it, and we sang it, and then we released it as part of our Christmas special. And I actually know someone who's like, fairly well into a particular large radio network. And I was like, and I actually help her with a lot of things throughout the year for fundraising. I'm like, going to her. I help her out all the time.
We sent it half a dozen people do.
We did send it to a bunch of people, but I went directly to her and everything. And she was like, I will take this up the chain. We'll do it and everything. I was like, all right, cool. Like, and then she came back. She's like, I'm sorry, I tried. But they just said, nope. It's like, all right, we suck.
Well, you should have spent $15,000 on a radio.
Oh, was that all?
$15,000. I could have got that.
And then you'll
song
get
there.
0.003 cents back per stream.
Right.
Yeah,
Spotify.
lovely.
Yeah.
We did put it up on Spotify.
So here's the other thing. So I'm a guy who loves music. I love when I find something new. It really makes me happy, and I want to share it with the world. Like, could I do an independent radio station, like even like and play your music? Say, here's a cool track from the Town Heroes. Put a song on, and then jump to the next independent guy. As long as I got their permission to play it.
You don't need permission to play
If it's
anyone's
independent?
music.
Yeah.
I don't think on any radio format you would need, because they're supposed to be getting paid on the back end of that.
Yeah, because I always thought like a podcast, like mixtape, would be cool, right? So say you did a mixtape.
Podcasting might be a little different.
Yeah.
Because I listen to podcasts, and if that person's on a label, they often wouldn't play it. But if they're independent, that person will just say, "Oh yeah, play it."
Yeah,
but otherwise, you're going through multiple channels. and they might be like,
this
"Well, give us $100."
Itself will get flagged for the music that's playing in the background, probably.
Yeah,
because I thought about that.
We just got to
and I'm
keep
like,
talking so it never,
just be louder.
never gets on.
Yeah, cool.
Do you want to get into radio? Is that something you've thought about?
Another hobby, I mean, eventually.
This is kind of a version
This
of that.
this is what I wanted to do, was like a talk radio type thing. So yeah,
This is
totally
modern radio. Like radio, if radio wants to exist, it has to adapt in some way. Like
100%.
I agree with you there.
it's dying like drastically.
It is,
quickly.
right? And you know what? I love old radio still. Like, I like 95.7 or 97.5 or whatever?
95.7,
Yeah, listening to the callers call in and complain about the current events, and usually they're about 9
I used
years
to
old.
love that, but honestly, it's like the same 10 callers bitching about the same stuff, and I just got so over it.
I enjoy it.
But you can do that essentially exact same premise on like a YouTube live or something.
Right.
Like give out your phone number.
Yeah.
Like the thing, it's the same with music. Like you used to have a label who would pay the whatever $80,000 to go into
used to
one
have
of
to
the
have a studio,
one of the 8 studios,
producers,
in the country.
engineers. You used to be like to make a record that sounds as good as yours. You probably would have needed a massive team behind it. Right?
You either had to come from money or have the label doing it. But it's the same with radio.
Yeah.
Like you could make a radio show. Oh, this is a radio show essentially. For however much you paid for that Zoom recorder, a couple $100 and the mics, whatever, $1,000-ish bucks.
Yeah.
You can make a radio show that sounds as good as what people in the 70s essentially could do. But they had to have a huge station, all this technology that the average person couldn't record.
100%.
So the advancements in technology are allowing these things to happen. But it is killing off other mediums.
But then you also have like the other flip side of it to radio is like you have the Seaside FMs.
I love Seaside FM. I think it's such a brilliant station in its own right.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I don't listen to it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's great because I think that like having community radio that can give community local voices, I think is fantastic. Again, I just don't listen to it because when I'm driving, I'm first of all either driving with a 3-year-old.
Their antenna
doesn't
won't get
want to
to
listen
you
to
anyways
that.
out where we're at. Like,
that?
I don't think their antenna gets that far. Like, Seaside?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, does it?
Yeah.
You
can
can
listen
out
to it.
Eastern Passage. I can listen to it now?
Yeah.
I can listen at home, but
My
I don't
uncle,
listen
who
to
lives
car.
5 minutes from you, that's his favorite station.
Oh,
That's
yeah?
all he listens to.
Oh.
I keep telling him, like, turn that off every once in a while and put on the afternoon pint.
That's the uncle that I told you not to give the address of.
100%.
Okay.
That uncle.
My address. Yeah.
But yeah, like I think it's great. I mean, I just like I said, I don't listen to it because I have a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And he's like, play Radioactive for the 100th time, or Pretty Fly for a White Guy. My kid likes a lot of that.
Good
stuff.
taste in music for a
Oh
3-year-old.
no, we got for his 3rd birthday. We got him a karaoke machine because he likes to sing. Like I have video of him singing "Superman's Dead" on his 3rd birthday. Loves it.
He's born artist.
Well, we'll see, but we'll see. I would love for that, right? But this is the thing: is like I love the fact that this community radio exists.
Yeah.
And I often wonder if like that's the way it should really be going instead of these big conglomerates that are playing. I can hear. If you turn on Q104, it's like, oh great, I can hear Thunderstruck for the 15,000th time, kind of thing. Or your music can be played on Seaside. And really throwing it out to someone local, right?
For sure. Those community stations are awesome. Cove FM, which you referenced earlier,
Yes, that's right,
same
yes.
idea. They are amazing, but all this comes down to money, like anything. Like
They have to work hard.
How are they? Most of the people who work there are volunteers.
Yep.
How are they making their money? Like they're doing fundraising through the year. They're
doing their 50-50s and all that other stuff, right?
So I love those stations, and they are amazing to have and to promote. We chat with those stations all the time in different capacities, but it's a challenge for them to exist because advertising is down.
Yep.
Like it's just hard for them. But I hope they can adapt, like I said earlier, and find a new home, a new way to exist, a new way to thrive, because they are great voices for people who want to add something to the community.
Yeah.
It seems like all traditional media formats are kind of struggling now.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, television, radio, whatever. Yet, I'm thinking back to when Trump was first elected and the viewership of CBC just skyrocketed. And as they were releasing details on the tariffs, like it happened again. And so I think in a time of crisis, we actually rely on those old favorites, I'll call them, for media. We trust them. They're the place that everybody goes. And so there's also this risk in us abandoning that format altogether and not kind of lending our support when times
who are you
aren't
going
tough.
to trust? 2 podcasters talking to a politician? Like, because I mean, at the end of the day,
People are, though.
Drinking. No.
yeah, they're literally drinking.
That won the election.
But not only that, like, you have to respect journalists. I mean, my brother's graduated Master's Concordia. He's going to have very different questions and conversations with a premier than I would, right? On a high level. He's going to know the right questions to ask. They're going to lean into stuff differently, and they're going to want to really get some, tough answers, right? So it's
But both are important. I actually, I don't want to make this all about politics, but I think it's so important to give those members of parliament who are only known for their political roles a little bit of humanity.
Absolutely.
Like, let's
We try
really
to do
learn
that,
about
yeah.
who this
Yeah.
person is that's representing other people.
Yeah, but you're right.
It becomes lost
It's-
as soon
both
as that.
are important, but you don't want to kill one for the other. It's
Sure.
almost like you need to have that yin and yang or whatever, right? Like both are so valuable, right? And I don't know what you do with that, but
No, I think we try, to your point, I think we
Yeah.
try to get, like when we bring a politician on, we actually kind of tell them, like, let's not talk policy, let's not talk about who's better than who, like, just tell us your story.
Yeah.
Why'd you get into it?
Yeah,
Right?
give them a little bit of a break and see them as a person. And,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Because I do think it's, we treat, our politicians really unfairly sometimes, where it's like, just because you're a politician, I can say horrible things about you and like wish death on you simply because you are a different color politically than someone else may be.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that there's not some really bad politicians out there. I'm not saying that there's some really dangerous politicians out there. There are, right? But I think it's one of those things where we have to be really careful about like the things that we're willing to say and potentially almost act on. Because I think that speaks a lot about you as a person, right? It's like, someone says like Trudeau, someone should like drag him out in the street and shoot him. And it's like, really? Like, really? Kind of thing. Like,
But still a person.
Yeah.
We behave that way towards celebrities at times
You're
as
right.
well. They're just kind of
100%.
these arbitrary people out there. We forget that they have feelings.
we treat others like each other like that all the time on social media because it's someone who's not a real human. They're just a name and a screen somewhere not here in front of me, right? So I think it's that disconnect. It's like I'd love to see if 90% of the people who say those horrible things could stare Trudeau in the face and say those exact same things. Some of them probably could, but I bet you a lot of them would get pretty shy pretty quick, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Trudeau would knock them out anyway.
He would.
I always laugh at a lot of the people who would say that. Like, Trudeau would actually beat you in a fight.
Seriously. No, that's true. So, but it's those things. But I mean, the how we kind of the funny thing about what you were talking about, the money, right, and how the traditional, how that changes. I find it so interesting that like Coca-Cola or Pepsi or whatever, right, Budweiser, they'll spend $30-40 million on a 30-second ad for the Super Bowl. And I get it. 100 million people watch it. But as a consumer, I am not watching that and going like, I saw Coke for 30 seconds, so now I have to go out and buy 10 liters of Coke. You could take that $40 million, probably spend, I don't know, like 25% of it, and hit up every local podcast, radio station, whatever. Give them a fraction of that money.
they're doing that now. McDonald's is literally doing that now with nano influencers.
Yes, you need
so
to do
they
that.
just had in the U.S. a chicken finger, right? And what they did is instead of paying for a big advertising bill, they paid like a fraction of it. And they paid all these essentially young people with less than 500 followers to do a review of their new chicken strip.
Yes.
So smart.
What happened is once everybody saw those 500 followers do it, what did everybody else do? Oh shit, I got to do that video.
It's a
That's trending.
trend now.
So now hundreds of thousands of people, it was their fastest selling product off the shelves day one. Yeah.
Needs to
Unreal.
happen.
Just read about that last week. It's just phenomenal, right?
That's the thing. So I
Yeah.
mean, there's some untraditional ways that we should go about things.
Yeah.
Not just slap your name on the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Like go out there. Like people consume with their eyes.
Maybe
right?
that's the new way forward for artists too, right?
Maybe.
I mean, a nano artist or a micro artist type of solution where it's like there's no art better than the art that's in front of you. Like, I mean, whether it's music or it's paintings or whatever, it's a thing that lives and breathes in front of you. That's the most pleasant experience, right? It's better than anything you can hear on the radio is to go see a band, right?
And I like the idea of targeting those with a smaller following. I think, I don't know, I should speak for myself on this, but I think the influencer culture is getting a little bit, I don't know, untrustworthy, especially when it comes to advertising.
Totally
like we know
is.
these people are just getting free shit or getting paid to say
Totally
that this
is.
is awesome.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
Yeah. And then you're trying to measure up to that person, like has all of this money to make themselves look amazing and do all this stuff. It's not great.
And I mean, we manage it like a content creator / influencer or whatever. And I think a big reason why we were willing to kind of partner with him and take him on is yes, obviously, when you're paid to say something is great, you're paid to something to say something is great. And I think you got to be honest about that. But what I like, what our guy does, is in
He's
4
more
minutes.
skit-based.
Well, in 4 minutes, he does it's almost like a 4-minute TV show.
Yeah.
He goes in, he'll go sometimes in the kitchen, he'll make the thing and then eat it, or he does some humor with it and things like that, and he edits really nicely, and it goes together. And people have actually been saying this needs to be a TV. You guys, you need to be doing this as a TV show, almost like the Food Network or whatever. Somebody feed Phil. It's kind of like that, but just in really bite-sized, consumable amounts type of thing. And at the same time, people are going to look at it and they're going to go, oh, well, geez, those matzo sticks look amazing. Maybe I'll go to that restaurant because this guy made me laugh and those look great. Kind of thing, right?
No, Steve does a great thing.
He does a great thing.
I mean, he's skit-based. In my opinion, he's artistic. He has an approach where he goes into a restaurant, he breaks down walls, he breaks down barriers. He has a video that went really well that did where he's experimenting eating Lebanese food with a Lebanese guy sitting next to him, telling him how to eat it correctly and how to do things correctly.
3.8 million
But that's
views.
authentic.
Yeah.
That's a real thing that's happening.
Yeah.
He's not getting paid to
Yeah, so there's no fakeness. Or I don't think Steve wears makeup. Maybe if he's listening, he'll correct me.
No.
Does he wear makeup?
I'm his cameraman.
You know,
So.
there you go.
and his makeup artist.
Yeah. So anyway,
I would do it way more hilarious if I was. But
I think
I think people just need. I think companies need to see that and support local people, right? Like that type of stuff. Maybe sponsoring your band, like that's something that should be something that people could really do. Is really kind of throwing support behind it and having bands kind of almost be sponsored and saying hey, thanks to these folks or whatever, right? And even in the art world and things like that, getting involved in that stuff, they can do so much instead of funneling all that money to the top and giving a boatload of money. Spread it out. You could spend less and hit more people, or maybe not more people, but at least more targeted people. Because I'm not going to buy a Pepsi. I don't like Pepsi. So you can spend $40 million on that. I'm just not going to consume it, no matter how good it looks on screen or whatever, right?
I think that's kind of starting with podcasts as well, where people are reaching out to smaller ones and sponsoring those, and I feel like a lot of things are going to change in the next few years.
Yeah, look at us. We've got a couple sponsors, right?
Yeah.
Small businesses. You guys do too. Yeah.
And it's a good way to promote them as well, just like we are with the North Brewing today. That's
100%.
Another way of just kind of,
It's
putting a
authentic.
shout out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. All right, Matt. I think we got to get to our 10 questions, my friend.
Yes.
Yeah, because we've probably ran on a little long today, but that's okay. We're having a lot of fun here. So
We know how to talk.
you certainly do, but
do you do?
that's what we love. So, we do 10 questions on this show. They're just silly questions. Some of them, these ones kind of go into you guys a little bit. So, Matt, I'm going to get you to read. I'll read the Kristen questions because the Mike question has. Okay, I'll read the questions and you do the other ones. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Kristen. Your new podcast rebrand, Make It. What do you hope that listeners get out of the show?
I hope that they make it. Hope that they live a life of success and achievement and take away a little learning.
Okay.
Very good. That was what we call a softball. No, just joking. Just joking. No, that was a
Warming
good
up
answer.
here.
Good answer. Yeah.
All right, Mike.
Yeah.
Would you be open to record a rap remix of your song Words for Days with hip-hop sensation Mike Tobin?
It kind of has a lyrical rap vibe.
Totally
to
does.
It.
It's on point. I heard it and I was like, I think it came on after Ghostface Killer in my truck after I was playing your music for a few days.
I think I've introduced the song before as picture if Tupac grew up in Cape Breton in the 90s and his father was a coal miner.
There you go. It's a perfect song.
But,
I love it.
I would love to do that.
So this
with
collaboration is now on the record.
I'm going to start. I'll
is.
start working on it, and I'm going to hit you up, man, when I got a verse ready to go. Okay. Give me a few weeks.
Yeah, you guys can work on that.
Yeah.
We're going to work on a painting.
Or a policy paper, it sounds like.
There you go.
Yeah.
We'll paint politicians.
Yeah.
All right.
Question number 3 over to you.
Oh, Kristen, What is the purpose of suffering? I'm asking. I really need to know.
Okay, so I'm not as funny as Mike, and I'm not even going to try to go on that way.
You can go deep.
I have some funny things coming to mind, but the purpose of suffering is growth. You come out the other side having learned something about yourself, and then you're tougher to take on the new suffering that life brings you.
Breezed right through that. Good job. Cheers. Okay.
Would any of the Rocky movies existed without suffering?
Absolutely.
Absolutely
not.
We need suffering.
We need suffering.
I do know that through Rocky V, I suffered.
Oh, come on. It wasn't that bad. It was the worst of the first 5, but...
Yeah. All right. Question number 4 to Mike.
Yeah.
So pretend you're a zookeeper.
Yeah.
You are tasked with a difficult choice of providing refuge to only one of 2 animals.
Yeah.
A lion and a penguin. Which one would you have to choose to live and why?
Penguins are cuter.
He didn't hesitate.
They shuffle around like little teddy bears. And one of the best documentaries ever was, what was it called?
March of the Penguins?
March of the Penguins.
Narrated by Morgan Freeman. Yeah. Right.
Or Happy Feet. Which were you thinking?
No, March of the Penguins.
Happy Feet's not real.
Lions have, they survived at the top of the food chain for so long.
So the reign is over.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I had to pick, it's easy. Go Penguins.
Go Penguins. That was easy.
They're
for
not
you.
a predator. Lions kill other things. Penguins, I guess penguins kill fish. So they're both killers.
Yeah.
I'll still pick penguin.
Fair enough.
Good
All right.
answer.
Question 5.
Okay. As a painter, there must be one thing, Kristen, that is frustrating or difficult to paint, and you refuse to do it. What's that one thing you never want to paint?
Portraits of politicians.
I don't blame
Despite that being my next collaboration. I'll learn. I'll go through the suffering.
I think CEOs. I think the next corporate event, if you just painted the CEO and just did it, real raw looking, angry looking, and just presented it to them at the end, that'd be brilliant. I'd love that. Yeah.
Just paint them all as Mr. Burns. Variations. All right, question number 6. So, Mike, who is a musician, dead or alive, that you would love to perform alongside with and why?
Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, cool answer.
Jimmy is just, I don't think there's anyone more legendary than Jimmy. It's
that's
like
pretty
what he accomplished in 27 years and just the lore of him. Like everything he did was kind of like a movie scene.
Yeah.
He's just.
So do you think he's the GOAT in terms of guitarists?
Yeah, there's lots of people who can play as well as him, but in terms of just feel and what he was at the time that came, I think he's the GOAT for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome answer. Okay. Kristen, your book, You and Me, Travel, Misadventures, and Love Around the World. Is there an event that's happened since the book was published that you think deserves being in the book? Like if there was a second edition, can you think of a quick story that you can share?
So many.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Which
Oh
one's
no, there's
coming?
millions. I'm trying to think what's one.
Yeah, what's one?
Anyone, yeah.
We had so Mike and I went to artist residency in Colombia a couple of years ago. I would say pretty much every day of that month could be a book. But we would walk into town, which is like 8 kilometers. We were in the middle of absolute nowhere, Colombia. And by the time you would reach the town, you'd have a pack of wild dogs with you.
Wow.
Like
And-
friendly wild dogs.
Yeah, friendly
Just
wild
hanging out.
dogs.
Yeah.
But and so there was this one that had a cardboard neck brace with a phone number on it. So we called him Neck Brace, of course. And this dog followed us everywhere in all the businesses. Like we went to get lunch and this dog. So everybody just thought Neck Brace was our dog. But we didn't end up coming home with any permanently.
We had we love animals, and we unfortunately at the residency said do not bring any animals back. Like that was a very
rule,
strict
like the
rule.
one rule.
So when we were leaving, we actually had to be like mean to the dogs to get get away.
But every day would come home with 10 wild dogs, and that was the
Amazing. Wow.
rule of what not to do there. But yeah, that would make for a good you and me story.
Lots of
That's
the
a good one.
tarantula.
The near-death experience on the airplane in Austin.
I hope you
just
guys are
happened, like
keeping
2
notes
months ago.
to put out a second book.
Yeah, I think a
sounds like you got
sequel's
some
in the
ammo.
making.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that, but
Awesome.
thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh wait, I think the last two are they for both?
No, we got question number 8. We're not done yet.
Oh no, but I think these ones are for everybody.
Oh yeah, but we're not there yet.
Oh, not there yet.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I have question number 8.
I'm slow.
Yeah. So, Mike, you have an amazing catalog of music. What is one of your most treasured songs that warms your heart when folks tell you that it resonates with them?
I have a song called Hercules that I wrote for my father. He's someone who works out west, or worked out west in Fort McMurray, back and forth, and the song's about him waiting for this particular job to come through, and it doesn't, and he's heartbroken. Yeah. Anyway, every time I play that, someone comes up afterwards who you wouldn't expect to come up to you, and they're like, "Oh man, I was bawling tears after hearing that," and it just reminds me of my own father. Huh. So that one always strikes a chord with someone when I play it. So I think that would be...
That makes sense. I think people can relate a lot to, like, just the hard work that people go into. Like, everyone has, like, love songs and things like that, and everyone can kind of relate to that stuff. But there's some songs that just hit to that hard work. The one that always kind of, like, that I have a particular soft spot is the name of the song, Christy Moore. It's Ordinary Man.
Okay.
I don't know if you know it, but Ordinary Man, Christy Moore, it's just a song that you listen to and you're just kind of like, yeah, everyone can sort of relate to that. You work 30 years and, next thing you know, you get laid off and, the fat cats are smoking cigars. Meanwhile, I'm on the EI line kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's kind of the same concept as that, really.
Yeah.
I love that question. I don't know if anybody's asked you that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question. Oh, we got to talk. They're going to get Declan McKenna's song in the mic here.
There you go. Oh, we got to talk closer.
So, okay. Question number 9.
This sounded both of you. So Kristen, your leadership in the arts community with ventures such as Togetherland Art Gallery, and Mike, your work as an author, singer, songwriter proves your dedication in expressing the importance of the arts. Okay. What is something you would like to see that could help more artists live a creative and affordable life? I mean, is there anything you guys think that would just help with that? That'd be
universal basic income.
Yeah, I think. AI. Well, we should tell everyone right now. This podcast is 100% AI generated.
Oh yeah.
We are not actually here, but I think in the very near future, like, a very high percentage of jobs are going to be fucked.
Oh yeah, I believe that. It's going to change.
Like, I don't know what's going to happen with music, with film, and these are just artistic things. Like,
think of any call center, right?
Yeah, many, and eventually like truck drivers. Like, I know there was a guy 2 elections ago in America, Andrew Yang, was campaigning on when trucks are driven by AI, the whole U.S. economy is going to basically collapse. Like, after, I think, the military, the second biggest job in America is truck driving.
Right.
And he's like, a picture of all those jobs that are instantly gone. Like, what happens? But anyway, I think AI is going to screw up a lot of shit. And I think some version of universal basic income would be...
Well, almost be needed at that point.
I think you'd need it now, right? Yeah. To be honest. Like, there's people who are working jobs and still can't afford groceries.
Right.
Like, it's...
yeah. I mean, and not a small amount of people, right? If we're realistic, there's quite a few people that can't afford groceries right now. Some of them with college degrees and good jobs right out of college, or have even been at it for 10 years, right? Yeah. And some of them in our healthcare system, right? Some of them are the most important things that we have. Still can't afford it. So
I think with that, with UBI, every single person has to get it. It's not just poor people or just people who because then no one can complain. Like, someone who makes $10 million, they get their $1,200 a month, whatever. It's not a big amount. Some people will give it back to charity, whatever. Some people will use it as a vacation
let
fund,
it be up to the
whatever. Person. But every single person has to get it. And I've heard Bernie Sanders and multiple people talk about whatever. He put this little tax on the Wall Street trades, and it funds it. Anyway, that doesn't matter. But there are ways you can do it. And,
love the idea.
I think that's one way for sure.
Do you mirror that, or you have something different in mind?
I think back to our conversation with Rick Rubin, who would encourage you to create for your audience. That at some point becomes a challenge for artists, even successful ones. Almost ironically, probably more of the successful ones, because you lose a little bit of that newness and freedom. Because now there's an expectation placed on you. I think something like UBI takes that pressure off, so that you can more so create from a purer place rather than necessity. Yeah.
It's like if you have a trust fund, it's easier to be an artist.
If you got that FU money, you can kind of do whatever you want. Yeah, I get that. Cool. Great answers. So the last question.
So this is the question we ask everybody. All of our guests get this last question. So, and it's for both of you, so you can both give us this. So, what is one piece of advice that you have been given in your life that you would like to give to us and our listeners?
I want to think about this, because I think that's important. A good friend of mine and former podcast guest, and someone that likely a lot of your listeners might know, Nancy Regan, has given me the advice to not worry what your neighbors think. It would be the way that she put it. I think we often get caught up in the perception of what others might think of our lives, or in our case, our art. And that can really influence your emotion and your work. And she has been such a great role model to me in living her life in a way that is true to her. And I think the more you behave that way, the more you might inspire or give permission to others to show up in a little bit more of a relaxed way and not worry so
awesome.
much.
Let's cheers to Nancy Regan.
Cheers to Nancy
awesome.
Regan. Yeah, always.
She was a great guest.
Nancy rocks.
All right. And then, Mike, do you have one for us too?
I can't remember who told me this, but someone, I think it was my aunt or uncle, had, when they were graduating university, this bigwig was the guest speaker. I can't remember who it was, and they were known for being really philosophical and incredibly wise, and they got up to the mic to deliver their convocation speech, and they just said, "Buy a good mattress," and walked away. and then I think some people were pissed, I thought I was going to hear more. But I don't know, you think about what you sleep on every night. You're spending a third of your life on this particular place. You should probably get something that's comfortable, 100%. That doesn't hurt your body.
Yeah.
You don't want to be waking up with any kinks, any injuries that you obtain in your sleep. So I think it's pretty good advice, to be honest.
More important as you get older, too.
Yeah, being at the age where you put your back out if you sneeze, then the mattress is...
That's awesome.
That's really good.
Great advice. First time we got that one.
First time we've ever heard anything like that. So that's good.
I got to get the details on who said it and all that. But,
well, that was perfection, guys. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. We really appreciate it.
This was so fun, you guys. Thanks for having us.
Maybe we can do it again.
Well, you'll be on the Make It.
Have you on ours?
Sounds good. We got to make it first, though, because...
You have to be in the process of trying to make
it. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers.
Then I will pick strong arms, going a mile a minute. He can explain the Ukraine crisis, drop a cord of wood, tell you clearly what life is. Working out west in the Fort Mac sands, traveling back and forth. It's hard on a man. Was waiting on a call for a promised name higher, but the bastards don't call, so he's poor for a while. There's politics, no matter what you do. It's all who you know, not what you prove. I'm going right ahead, open new doors. You don't worry about the fuckers in the union no more. For what it's worth, I think you're doing good, Dad. I'm proud of you and I'm certainly glad to call you my father and tell who I know that you're Hercules in working man's clothes. You If I knew God, I would ask for a raise, trade in this winter for some summer days. If I knew Allah, I would call in a favor, show me the way and I'll call you my savior. If I knew Jesus, I would learn some tricks, walking on water, making wine for kicks. If I knew people, we wouldn't have to worry no more. I'll probably make more money if I didn't curse and swear, sing about blue eyes and pretty long blonde hair, use words like baby and lines like I love you too, but that's all for singers with no mud in their shoes. I don't care about money, but I like some dough, so Dad don't have to work out west no more. Mom can retire, I'll put my niece through school, buy my brother's new cars, take my girl to Peru. If I knew God, I would ask for a raise, trade in this winter for some summer days. If I knew Allah, I would call in a favor, show me the way and I'll call you my savior. If I knew Jesus, I'd learn some tricks, walking on water, making wine for kicks. If I knew people, we wouldn't have to worry no more. If I knew the right people, we wouldn't have to worry no more. If I knew the right people, we wouldn't have to worry no more. If I knew the right people, we wouldn't have to worry no more.
Thank you for listening to The Afternoon Pint. We are an independent podcast and we need your support. Please take a moment to hit that like, follow, and share button. Email us if you have an idea or suggestion for the show. Please send your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.